This is another document which is not a master document. We'll be discussing about interface constructor inheritance methods is done. Now we need to discuss friendship between the class. Okay. Okay. So few of things I need to discuss which is not there in this master document. I just created for a separate document for that about part 2. Okay, first we'll go through this. We have a concept we discussed initially in this master document. We have 4 things: data security, encapsulation, polymorphism, hosting, right? If you see in detail, polymorphism is one of the concept in object-oriented ABAP, polymorphism and encapsulation. So poly means multiple things. Morphism means using that option. Okay. So polymorphism is a characteristics of being able to assign different behavior or value in the subclasses to something that was declared in the parent class. Okay. So here what we are trying to say, if the parent class is having addition of 2 numbers, when you inherit that method, we can also redefine the method in the subclass. So when you redefine that method, if you see in the last class, when we, I think we didn't do that inheritance, I'll show that pre-inheritance. When we do inheritance, I didn't show from the global class, but local class, I show that options are inherited. But global class, visually, we can see how those are all inherited, copy and all. So when we do inheritance, the classes, the methods, components will be inherited to subclass. In the subclass, if the method is copied from the superclass, that will be copy the same code into the subclass also. But if you wanted to redefine that method in the subclass, we can do redefine through this polymorphism scenario. Okay. For example, a method can be declared in the parent class, but each subclass can have the different implementation of that method. We can do that different implementation each subclass. When we do inheritance from A to B, B to C, again, we can do inheritance. C to D, we can also do the inheritance. In every class, we can do different implementation using this polymorphism and a redefined concept. Okay. Polymorphism can be achieved through 2 ways: method overloading and overriding. Here, method overloading means it is a process of overloading method with a different signature. Here, signature means you need to understand parameters. If you remember, I was click that button, I_Magna. When you click on signature, that is showing in this global class level. And local class, either global class signature means it's a in parameters interface, importing, exporting, returning, changing exceptions. So what we are trying to say here, method overloading means signatures can be redefined in the subclasses. So that is called method overloading. But when it comes to SAP ABAP, so that is, if you see a process of overloading, method is with the different signatures, that is with a different number and different types of parameters, different superclass, subclass and all. So ABAP doesn't support this method overloading. Actually, polymorphism comes from the object-oriented ABAP. Object-oriented ABAP is not specific to SAP ABAP. It was introduced as a programming concept, advanced programming concept for the modulation. Even it is there in Java or C++, SAP ABAP also it is there. So when it comes to the SAP ABAP, method overloading is not supported as per ABAP SAP software design. Okay. So what we are doing here, we are trying to redefine the signature. So that is not possible. Coming to the method overriding. Method overriding means redefine the only implementation part. Importing, exporting will not change. Only that implementation part will redefine in subclasses. That is possible. So that we are trying to explain here. So the process of overriding the superclass method inside the subclass is called method overriding. In case of local class, in order to override the super class method inside the subclass, we must declare this redefine keyword. Okay. I'll show that how we can do redefining. Subclass can redefine only instance publics and instant protected methods of superclass. Only these two can we can redefine. Okay. So remaining also you can understand easily. We'll see that class creation. So this we go to SC24. So this is our class. Now we are going to inherit this class. Okay. General material description is there. So I'm going to write a report for one more table, Marcy table. Okay. Marcy is the table for plant data for material. If you execute, So what are the primary keys in this table? Material and plant. Okay. We can see those two combinations data here. 28,000 information is there because materials we have 16,000 or 18,000 here, but why here 28,000? For different plants, same material might be there. Okay, we can see those entries. Yes. Okay, you can see we have different plants. Let me do something. We have 0001 is a default plant which is comes with SAP software. A default 1200, some other plants also available. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the logic to read this materials based on the plant. Okay, so that for that I have to create new method, but I wanted to write that method in the subclass. Okay, so what we are doing in this code, that is general material description, we are reading data in this MARA table and MAKT table where raw material material type is FERT, language is English. Now I'll be redefine the code. Redefining means it can be purely completely changed, but I will not do completely change. I will redefine this method with ROH and different language, just to understand. Okay, we'll use same. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create subclass for this class. MM. Okay. Consider subclass. Create. It's a class only. Class of material management. Here I'm using final. I don't want the inheritance. So only subclass is enough. Now how to define this is a subclass of superclass. Here we have icon, which is here, create inheritance. Click on that, the superclass will be added. What is a superclass here? ZCL mem is a superclass. So we are going to extract or inherit those components attributes of this class. Okay, click on continue. Save in the package, this transport. Are you guys able to see this class? If see, both are inherited from the superclass. We didn't create. This is coming from superclass, but in superclass it was coming from interface. Okay, this is declared in superclass. Now it is inherited. Understood? Now I'm going to create new method in subclass. This is not part of superclass. Get material. Get materials through plant we can consider. Okay. So here I'm trying to, this is the interface. This is a signature part. I don't have any import export parameters. That is why we don't have any signature. If I click on this, this is visible. If I click on this, that part will be enabled. Okay. So I'm just going to write the logic. Select start from marc into table IT underscore marc, where plant. What is the field name here? Works. Okay. You can see works is a plant. WRKS. Plant equal to 0001. This declaring those internal tables data IT underscore marc type table of marc. Arcaria marc type marc. Display this data. Hyphen material work area marc hyphen works. We can also take any other fields if it is required. Purchasing group, we can write TKGR. Okay, 3 fields are enough. Understand. Okay, so this is a new method we added into the subclass. This is a different scenario, how to implement method into the subclass. What happened? Some marsing. Here we have to write comma. Okay, done. Okay, we'll go back. So we have added new method here. That is one scenario in the subclass. Now we need to redefine this method. Okay, select this method. If you can see here, we have option called redefine. If you select this, is here call method get material description, purely redefined. Now we can write whatever the code we want. I think we don't have any signature. Now we can write whatever the code we want. This scenario, when you call this subclass method, it will call only subclass related code only. Method is same, but subclass code only will execute, and superclass is different. But when we discuss local class, that time if you call in a subclass through subclass instant also, it is calling superclass code only, because it was inherited as it is. Now we are redefining this code will be, we can write different. I'll open master class as I mentioned. We'll just copy this code. Same code only we are redefining, but I don't want to take any other scenario. You'll get confused. Here, I'm just changing this code with ROH. With the D language. Now this method is different. Superclass method name is common in superclass subclass, but implementation is different. Output will come as in the different way. Okay, so that is a redefine. Redefine can be happening through method overriding. Now what we did, we are doing method overriding concept using redefine option here. Okay. If you check in the global class, parent class, we have FERT this code, but in subclass, we have ROH and D. I didn't change, I changed only these 2 fields. You can change the full code also. You can write any code, whatever we want and at the time of requirement. Okay. So how we implemented this, it comes under which concept? Polymorphism with method overriding. An interview question is like, is method overloading supported in SAP? We should say that it is not supported. Why it's not supported? SAP is restricted to generate this import and export parameters, hence it is not possible in SAP. We can't able to do this overloading. But overriding, we have a separate option in this redefine option in the class level. We can use that redefine. If you see how we redefine this local class, you can see the keyword, how it is added. It's not much thing you can see. Simply we need to add this keyword. So this is a subclass. If you see here, when you call the subclass, you need to call the method name and just add the redefinition. Nothing is more than that. Once you add this redefinition, we can write arrow code here. Even in local class. This is a local class only, guys, because we can see local class here, source code extract or form based extract. And if you want to go that other like local class, we discuss C1 and C2, there also we should write in this format only. Nothing is changed, and we have to write redefinition. Is that clear? Sunil? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, local class code we written in last sessions. So when we redefine that, maybe I'll try to open any one. Automatic operations only we do. So here, class C1, we have addition or subtraction. Okay. Addition, I'll redefine as a method, or multiplication is already there. Addition, subtraction. Do you have division? Yes, division also right here. Okay, this addition can be redefined and can be written as some different logic. So where is class C2? Okay, here we don't have that. Okay, we have division. Here we can write method addition redefinition. And you write like that. If you see, if I click on check, it will ask us to implementation is missing for add. Now we have to implement that in the subclass. Subclass is here. It is only division we have. Next to this, we have to write implementation. Similarly, we are doing that. Okay, in the global class. I'm not writing like here. If you're adding that redefinition, we should have the different implementation, the subclass. Okay. This subclass also inheriting from the C1 class. Here we are adding the keyword, but in the global class, we selected that icon when we click on create, right? So that icon will define that inheritance string. Okay. That is about polymorphism. And encapsulation we have. Encapsulation actually means that one attribute or one method could be modified in different classes. Okay. Similarly, it is similar to the interface. Okay. What is encapsulation? What is a capsule? We are regularly hearing, right? What is a capsule? Encaps or capsule?
Tablet.
Tablet. If you see that cold tablet, we have capsule inside. We have this bundle of the thing, right? In the cold tablets. So this interface concept, we are putting into multiple places. We can combine this. Okay. We are just encapsulating this interface concept. Okay. Encapsulation actually means that one attribute or one method be modified in different classes, and data and method can have different form or logic can be hidden in separate classes. Now interface we use here in this class. In the same interface that if I can use in different class also. There I can write different definition. If you see what is the definition for this get material, this is defined in the global class. I can write different definition in different class, different global class. I mean different super class when I'm calling this interface. Okay, so that is one of the advantage encapsulation and data security. Data security be using the public private protected sections. Okay. Abstract class we'll see tomorrow. Singleton also we'll see. Okay, friend class we'll see. Friendship between the classes. If you see here, in classes there is normally strict division between the outside and inside. Outside means public section. Inside means protected or private. Private is specific to the class. Protected means in the same class or subclass we can use. Protected methods or attributes. So user can only access the public components of a class outside basically. Subclass have access to the public and protected sections of its superclass. This is a normal class scenario, but why we are using this friend class? In rare cases, classes have to work together so closely that they need access to another class, okay, protected and privated objects. Is it possible to access another class protected things? If there is a class C1 and C2, if you wanted to access class C2 things in C1, then it is considered as outside of the class. When there is outside, it should be public. But if you wanted to access protected and private thing outside of the class, it's not possible. In some scenario, we have to work with those kind of scenarios. Okay? Those kind of requirements we need to work. So that scenario, they are giving SAP is provided this option. In order to prevent these components being available to all users, there is a concept called friendship classes between this. Okay, so can we do that? So we have to define in this format, friends, class 1 of class C2, we have to write like this. So how it is working, you can see here. So what we can access, if you can able to answer all these statements, you can clear your interview. Okay. So we will also see in the coding level. Okay, class C1 and C2 is there. So we make it as a friendship here. We inherited C11, C22. Now we have these statements. C2 can access all attributes, methods of C1 from any section. So because he mentioned here, granted friendship to C2, okay, from C1 to C2. So C2 can access all attributes, methods of C1 from any section, and yes, we can access because we granted the friendship. C2 can create an instance of C1 irrespective of the create addition. That is also can create. We can create the instant accessing means we should access through instant, or we can also we can access directly. Okay, C1 can access all attributes methods of C2 from any section. No, because we provided access only for C2. Okay, C1 is a friend of C2, but not C2 friend of C1. Okay, that is not possible. So C1 can create instant of C2 irrespective of create addition. No, this is not possible. So opposite will not possible. Only C2 can able to access everything because we grants friendship to C2 only. C1 we provided to C2, not C2 to C1. Okay, so remain we'll see the code. Let me write one basic program in SC38. Here now standard page heading. I'm just creating two classes. Class C2 definition, class C1 definition. In class C2 definition. Or we'll close class C1 implementation in class C2 implementation in class. Start of selection. This is a local program. Global program also we will see that how we can do friendship class. Is this structure understood as of now? Two classes, two individual classes we are implementing.
Yes, sir.
Later we'll see that how this, how we can enable this friendship class between those two. Okay.
Okay.
Three sections we added in C2 definition. Also, I'm just adding the sections first. Private section, protected section, public section, in public section I'm just creating variable MB. I will directly create protected and private MBs. Data MB date type ST data. Method putting a type integer. Okay, we can write exporting parameter. We have to write that So we have to implement that. Sections are wrong. Okay. Public, then private. Sections also should be in the order. Okay, always. Public, then protected, and then private section. Additions implementation is missing. I'm just writing here method add in method C equal to plus B. Yeah, class C1 part is done. Now we are doing C2 part. Okay. I'm just writing here friend C1. Here I'm just creating some public only methods. Abstraction I'm just writing. B type integer. C type integer. So subtraction implementation we have to do here. Method. Here we are using methods. In definition, implementation we are using method. Okay. Sub equal to C equal to A minus B in method. In this method, I'm just trying to call.
Sir, friends and inheritance, same concept. I mean, different, sir.
It's a different. Inheritance means all the components attributes automatically inherited. Will it be will be able to access private and protected in the subclass? Private we can't able to access. Even in subclass, private is only for within the class, not for subclass or outside of the class. Protected we can only access, but not inherited. But friendship between the classmates, private and protected also can be shared. It is basic scenario, right? You are sharing all your private personal things to your friends, right? Normally, you are not sharing to anyone. Normally, in our real time, real life scenario, also we are just sharing private things to friends only. So, based on this concept only, it is implemented. Private and protected things can be shared to the friend class, not in outside of a class, or even in subclass also will not share private things. Okay, now call this class method. I'm calling in subclass. It's not a subclass, friend class. I'm just calling. Addition, I wanted to call C1 of addition, exporting A equal to 20, B equal to 30, importing C equal to MB out. Let me declare MB out here. So access to protected method is not allowed. Okay, so this is the actual scenario. We have to assign to this. Now C1 is a friend of C2. So where we supposed to define that in the class C1 definition we have to write. But if you see here, when I click on this, type C2 is not a class. Why we are getting this issue is there any assumption why we are getting this issue? Were you able to understand this?
We need to define C2 in after that.
Sorry, guys. Because where we define this C2 class, we define in the
Before.
Whether we have to define this before C1 class or we have other option, we can use that. DC, okay. What is the class name? C1 of addition. That is static methods. So okay. Because I'm able to access through the I'm trying to access through the class name, no? So I have to access with I can able to access with statics on. Now see, this issue is not there because here we are making the friends, but C2 system should identify. So that is why C2 definition I mentioned here. Okay, now I'm able to access. If I go down here, I'm calling this C1 addition. What is the addition method? Which section it is? Protector section. If I write this in private section, you can see I don't have any errors. Why there is no errors? One second, I have a power issue.
C1, C2 friends.
Yes, because of friend, it is allowing to do that. Okay, now I'll call this subtraction 1 in outside of the class because C2 is a normal class. There is no restrictions on that because I declared that subtraction where I declare the subtraction. If you go down and check, subtraction I declare in. If you see here, subtraction is declared in public section. Now I can create instant for C2 class, C2 elbow object, F2, C2 class, create object, elbow object, call method, elbow object. Subtraction. The result I have to declare.
S is missing. MB results.
Now see if I execute, I'm able to display this public method of subtraction. Inside that, when I'm calling this, I'm calling addition also. So addition will come in the first output here, right? Addition be out. Then in the bottom, subtraction will come. Addition 50, subtraction is 25 is out. And say 50 and then 25. Okay. So singleton class. Okay. So this is usage of singleton class is very less in real time until unless we have that we are using higher version or not. Based on the higher version, it depends. And based on the requirement also it depends. Using is very less compared to this normal classes, inheritance and all. Inheritance, normal classes, constructors, methods, instant methods, static methods, those we are using a day-to-day programming. But the singleton class, friend class, abstract class, those are all we are using very less. But interview point of view, this is very important. You need to understand, and they will also ask us to write how we are going to write that code for singleton. Okay. You can see here the concept of restricting Am I doing recording? So the concept of restricting the instantiation of the class to only one object is called singleton. What is the instantiation, guys? What is the instantiation of the class normally?
Ready-made.
Creating the object. Okay, instantiation means creating the object. Instantiation of table means internal tables, work areas, those are all the instantiation of the tables. Now here instantiation of class means creating the object. Okay. So last time we discussed instant constructor, how many times it will work, how many times we call this object, creating the object, those many times static instant constructors will work, right? We discussed we can create number of objects for single class. So what we are calling that instantiation of the class, how we are instantiation by creating the object. Okay, so we can create multiple objects for single class, but here singleton class means we are specifying restricting that to create these objects only once for single class through this. And why we need this for? Because object-oriented ABAP means it's encapsulation, polymorphism, data security also. We wanted to restrict that accessing that particular class or method multiple times. Only one time we can access. So from HR related developments, those developments, this will be required more. Okay. So as that name suggests, it will restrict to create only one instance of the class. So this is known as singleton pattern design patterns we call normally in object-oriented ABAP. If you're from computers background, you might aware of that subject. Data design patterns, factory methods, singleton. This all comes in a design patterns. Okay. This is one type of singleton pattern or singleton class in object-oriented ABAP. Sometimes in real-time business scenarios, we would need to have only one instance for a class at the point of time we are using this. Okay. So what we supposed to follow while implementing this? If we can say this 5 points, that is enough for interview point of. Okay, at least we can save 2 to 3 minutes out of 30 minutes interview. Okay, if they're asking. So visibility of class should be private. Okay, while creating the class, we should create a class in private scenario. Okay, let me create that. We'll go one by one and we'll create this class. Create program, save in the package and transport. Class. I'll mention singleton as a example. Definition, we regularly do that. Like in class, I'll just create the structure first. PL singleton. Class start of selection. Declaring the object. Data. Object. Type CL. Singleton is a class name. Create object. Which is the object name. This is a basic format in the reporting level, creating the object, accessing object class related components, attributes to this object. So these two lines we call as the instantiation of the class. Okay. I just click on save, check. Here we have to write implementation. We go to the top. So what we're supposed to follow? Visibility of class should be private. Okay. So in the definition, we have to add create private. So this class is private class. You can see you cannot create an instance of class for this because it's a private class. Okay, only public class only we can create instance. What is the meaning of private? Private is for within the class. Outside we can't able to access. Even we'll not able to create object for private class. And that is one point. We'll rectify this. Okay, that we supposed to follow. Declare a private attribute with reference to the same class in which it is being declared. Private attribute. Private attributes means we have to define in the class level. Okay. I'll create one private attribute. Like the definition you can write. Section, public section, protected section, private section. Three sections we have.
Full stop.
I'll just create here one method. Okay, first we'll go all the way. Create public static method with retaining parameter has of the same class. Okay. Public static method means class method. So that we supposed to follow. Class not hyphen class underscore.
Now
Class methods. I'm just creating one method. Start. Okay. You can take any name as a method. And with returning value where they're expecting right here. Creating method with returning parameter. In that returning parameter type should be having a reference of the same class. The reference of same class means if you remember in the initial session, second class, can someone go on mute? Yeah. If you remember in the second class, we discussed on the data types, elementary data types, integer, float, packed value, those we discussed in that time. I was shown that second slide we have three types of parameters: static parameters, reference parameters, initial parameters. We were discussing reference parameters are using part of object-oriented ABAP. Okay, so here having a reference of the same class means reference parameters always will do type ref to keyword. Okay, I just created this method with a returning value. Returning value of I'm creating here object with a type ref to keyword. Here I'm creating the object. This method. This is the method now with returning parameter. We created A, B, C, right? Importing, exporting. This is a returning parameter always will write like this. Returning value with this variable. Type ref2 we have. Type also we can use. Type ref2 also we can use. Now we are creating object here. This is a returning parameter. In the implementation method, insta end method. Here I'm creating the object. Create object LR. So this is considered as a declaration. How we did in the bottom. This is a declaration, right? Elbow object, you can see same. It is similar to that. And next we are creating the object. The same thing we are doing in the method. When you create the object, returning is object name. Okay. It's a private class, and we are creating object within the class. Within the class, we can do all the activities. And what is next point? Create implementation object inside the implementation of public static method. So that is we implemented creation of object. To create the instance for Singleton class, call this public static method in any program. So we can't able to instant for the private classes. This is not possible. Okay. So how can we access this method now? We can access this method using the class. That is possible. What I'm doing, I'm just commenting this. This is not work. What I'm doing, let me enable this. Since it is not possible, creation of object directly, it is not possible. So instead of that, we'll write elbow object equals to what is the class name? CL Singleton double arrow mark. Why we are using double arrow mark? I'm just calling that insta method. This can be called. We can call this private class directly. Using this format we can do. Understood, guys? Now see whatever the object we are creating here, this is returning. When it is returning, this is the returning. This value when it is written, it is assigned to elbow object. Now through this elbow object, we can access the any other methods if we define in the class tab. Now see, no errors. Object is created. If I write any other method here, get materials example. Let's get materials. I just wrote it. Here we need to implement this method get materials. I'm just writing select start from Mara into table IT underscore Mara. Declare IT Mara here only type table of Mara work area Mara type Mara. Okay, we are reading all the materials here. We can also write where condition MTRT equals to FPRT. Go but IT Mara into work area Mara. Work area Mara MATNR. Work area Mara. Two fields are enough just to understand only. Look. So we also implemented one class and method. Now this method we can access through this object. End method is missing. Where it is missing? Here it is missing. Error. Now I can call that get materials using elbow. Call method elbow object single arrow mark. Okay. Get materials. No import export. When there is no import export parameters, we have to write like this empty bracket. Now what will be the output here? MATNR, MTRT. Those two columns will be displayed for all this FPRT, 4,000 entries, you can see. So what is the main advantage of singleton class? We can't able to create the objects outside of the class. If I write here, you can see it will throw the error. We cannot create instance of the class outside of the class because it's a singleton class. So how to create object one more time? Guys, are you understand this? Last time I was shown that create object, we can write here 4-5 times. Hello object 1, 2, 3, we can create. Every time it is calling the constructor. Suppose example, I'll write the constructor here in this class only. That's constructors here. Here I'll implement that method. What will be the output? This is singleton class because we have the constructors, right? When this constructor will work, whenever we create the object. Okay, so how we are calling this insta method using this scenario, we are calling singleton insta. Whenever we call this, so this will call this method insta. Instead, what we are doing, we are creating the object. That object in the returning parameter. If you are not aware this, how to assign. So this is single line code. I'll write actual code for understanding in detail. Call method. But which method we want to call? Insta method. CL single tone double arrow mark insta Elbow object equal to elbow. So this is another way of calling the method. Singleton, the spelling mistake everywhere. Formal error of this not importing parameters. We have to write. We can write like this, returning parameters. It is not allowing, you can update as based on the versions, it will work. Okay. So normally returning parameters, you don't need to write anything because always returning parameter will be single parameter. Okay. You can directly, whatever the return it is returning, you can directly access into the equal to parameter. It's kind of function you can consider. Now, whatever is returning, that is object only, right? Same object we are assigned to LO object. Which object it is returning in this method? It is returning LR object. If you see, LR object is the returning value. That is all. That is also object with reference to the class. Now, what we are assigning LO object? LO object also reference to the class, same class only, right? So we can directly store into this. Through this object, I'm calling the get materials. Is this clear, guys? Now I can't able to create one more object. Understood the singleton thing? Hello. Jayanti, Sunil, Vishwas.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is the main advantage of singleton class? If you
We
understand.
create only one object.
Yes. Now creating only one object, or it is not possible in normal class creating only one object.
In normal class, we can create. Sir.
So we should not say like that. Creating only one object is possible in all the class types. Restricting to only one object creation is the advantage of the singleton class.
Yeah, it depends on restrictions.
Yes. So singleton class means main thing is main advantage restriction to create the objects, only one object. That is the main advantage. Or restriction the instantiation of the class to only one. Okay, so that is the advantage of singleton class. Suppose employee related things like payment related activities or salary related activities, HR related activities, those scenarios we can use this class scenario. Okay, we can create only one object within the class, and through that we can access everything. So when you initiated that only once, in this constructor we can write reading the employee number. The same employee number will use all the methods. Now we implemented only get material. We can implement it 30 to 40 materials methods also. In all those methods, since we loaded the initial values from the constructor level, the same values can be used in the across the class level. Okay. If you create one more time, one more object, there might be a mismatch of the variables and all. There will be confusion and all. If you initiated only one time object creation, constructor also will be loaded only once. The initialized values, the default values loaded to the from database to variables in the constructor level will happen only once, and that values can be accessed across the class in different components, different methods and all. Okay.